Welcome to the Boxing Now podcast, BNP. I am your host, that dude named Dave, aka DJ. And to my left, but he's my right hand man, I say all the time, it's Jorge. What's going on, man?
Hey, everything's going great.
Hey, we're back again. If anybody watching are probably not on Twitch yet, so we're streaming live on Twitch now, people. So I just want to get that out there as we get the proceedings going here. So live on Twitch, Boxing Now. On YouTube, click on like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We do stream live on YouTube, just not for this episode here. Also, for Spotify, click on the follow button. And for our affiliate, Spanglish World, on channel 250 on the Zingo app. In Canada here. So those are our affiliates here. So we want to get this going here for this episode. The early episode we had, we were talking about Canelo Alvarez. Jorge, he had a big win. We're not going to go into it, but congratulations to Canelo, keeping it moving here as he goes on to his next fight here. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have time because we actually went over in the last episode. It was so much going on there, but we didn't get a chance to talk about was the big news prior to the fight was Teofimo Lopez. We haven't seen him since he beat Lomachenko, and since he has basically all the belts now, he's caught in political limbo by having to take care of mandatories, like we were talking about the last fight here. So now he has a mandatory coming up, and I wanted to discuss this because him and Bob Arum were going back and forth. Now we can explain to the fans, audience, whoever listening, and then we'll go deep into it, understanding the mandatory and the purse bid process. But with him, he, like I said, he won his fight, so he don't want to lose his belts. So of course, when the mandatory comes up, they can go through the negotiation process, or if they cannot agree to terms, then it goes to a purse bid where any promoter can get involved, and whoever gets the highest bidder, the winning bid gets to put the fight on. The champion gets 65%, and then the mandatory gets 35%. Mm-hmm. That's level setting everything right now. Bob Arum didn't want to pay no more than $2 million total for the fight. $2 million for both fighters, Teofimo Lopez, and I don't have the mandatory written down right now. It doesn't matter. I'm not even gonna put him on here right now. We'll talk about that when the fight gets closer.
Exactly.
We're only worried about Lopez because obviously if he was legit, we've been talking about him right now.
Yep.
So Arum has been like, no, you have a contract with us. You're fighting a guy coming off a big win, and he is somebody that is not going to drive the needle. He is not going to help our ESPN ratings. So this is why we have contracts for, and I signed you to a lucrative deal. So I'm offering you the minimum. This is what happens when we have mandatories. As we've seen back and forth, and we even had conversations because I saw it, but I didn't understand the details, of course. He was like, no, he asked for $5 million. When you're negotiating, I'm gonna kick it off to you real fast before we go in further in this. But think about this, Jorge. If you're going for a job and you say, the job offers you $100,000 a year, and he's like, no, my salary is $165,000. You're not in the same ballpark. You're even saying, are we even thinking the same job right now? Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's asking for a lot more money than what the job entails, right? And his job is to fight this mandatory. So so when the job is at this moment, and that's what it is, right? So boxing is a sport. Boxing for the boxer is a job, but every job is the fight that night, right? Who he's got to fight. Mm-hmm. And each of those fights, unfortunately, is on a sliding scale, right? Whether you're going up and going down, depending on who it is that you're fighting, right? The higher the task, the bigger the task, the more money is required for the risk. The lower the task, a little bit less money for that. Even though it's in boxing, it's always a risk. You're always taking some risk. But the expectation is if you're fighting a mandatory, and depending on the mandatory is, right? Some mandatories are higher profile than others. This one just doesn't happen to be that way.
Yeah.
It's a lower bid, it's a lower price for the job.
Yeah. And Arum, he just had a birthday. He had turned 89 or 90 or 91. He's in that bracket. He's got to give it up to him for being a boxing promoter in this type of game that he's in. And
he's still sharp.
7 decades. And he's still the same since I can remember. And he's been on his road before. He knows mandatories. He knows the price tag, whether it was with ESPN when he was ESPN years ago, whether it was USA fights, whether it was on HBO, whether it was Showtime, pay-per-view fights. He's done every single contract for boxing known to man. So if you're Arum, like, come on, you're one of my number one guys. You're one of the hottest guys in the sport. $5 million, 2 million? No. So what happens in a situation like this? We go to a purse bid. So we have the purse bid where that we have Top Rank. Then Eddie Hearn shows up from the zone, and we'll talk about that. And then out of nowhere is Thriller. Now, people, Thriller is the group that put on the pay-per-view for the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones exhibition. And knowing what they're trying to do, and I saw some tea leaves on Twitter and on social media, especially with Leonard Ellerby from, he's the top guy with Floyd Mayweather, been with him for a long time. And he was talking about other companies out there, and he was not, what's the better word I want to use? He was not meddling in Teofimo Lopez and Aaron's business. He was just saying, fighters, get your money. And then when the Thriller deal happened, like I said, Top Rank 2 million, put their bid in. They're blind bids. So you don't know they're in the envelope and they're sealed. So you put it in there. Everybody got to pay $5,000 for this. Just understand the process. Aaron and put 2 million. Eddie Hearn pissing off Aaron, put in 3 million. And then at that point, then Thriller came with 6,018,000. So it really threw it out the ball. I apologize here that the iPad is going off here like this with my pings here. So with that in mind, 6 million to 2 million. Teofimo Lopez got the bag. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Jorge. I'm sorry.
That 6,018,000. That's an odd number, but it's because now that I'm looking at it again, but and who knows, maybe that 18,000 is just like kind of a little like it's a little extra just in case somebody bid the exact same number of 6 million. So that's interesting.
So I'll keep going here. Sorry about that. Like,
sure.
We're recording this here, and everybody wants to ask me questions here about this. I apologize. But yeah, so Thriller now owns the fight now.
Sure.
Now, I just want everybody to know, just because Thriller bid and won, they do not own Teofimo Lopez. They don't own his contract. It's a one-off thing. Top Rank has a deal for the next 3 years for Lopez. Yeah. It's just one of those things that whenever you have a mandatory situation, that anybody could bid on a fight. So Thriller now is in the driver's seat, and they did a good job with the Tyson fight. Mm-hmm. I mean, it started off at 1.5, then I heard rehearsal 1.6, and now months later, because pay-per-view numbers trickling slowly, we're looking at 1.9 million for that. They did their thing for promoting that. I know Tyson was behind it, but I had no idea that Tyson, along with a competent company, can drive 2 million pay-per-view buys. You know what I'm saying?
That's a hell of a marketing team they have.
That is, and then not to even oversell it, right? Because they sold it for $49.95. Yep. $50. Now most pay-per-views go from $75 to $100 nowadays. So Teofimo's got the bag now. So of course, Aram gets 800,000 because that's the promoting company. It's not like they split it 50-50. So Aram made 800,000 just because. So he's cool on it. He's like, hey, we made 800,000 a day. The Thriller can go ahead and put the fight on. We got no issues with them. Yeah. So I'm happy for Teofimo Lopez. I was initially behind the scenes bashing him because of COVID. There's no fans in the stands. The marketing is lower. The money's lower. So, and then you have less venues because you don't know, if you're going to put a fight in this venue here. Some promoters like say, I don't want to do, like we had a nice little argument debate about Florida and Texas and fans in the stands, things of that nature. So you're limited to that. So if you're going to go to a spot that doesn't have fans, then you're killing the gate. You're killing the concessions, the money, the alcohol that comes along with it. Then the city revenue that comes with people traveling there, hotels, food, restaurant, beverages, all that stuff comes into play. Everything is jacked in boxing now because of this. So I was killing Lopez at first. I'm like, what is he doing here? He's not understanding the landscape. But what we need to tell people is that you are what you negotiate.
Yeah.
Get what you're worth if someone's willing to pay more.
Yeah. I'm not against that whatsoever. Always said that with that one, I tend to agree with Ellerby on that one. If a fighter, get what you can. I don't, what I've always said was I don't care about the business being put out there. I'm not against a fighter or anybody in any sport going after their money. Go get it. I don't care how you get it. Go get your money. Just, at the end of the day, I'm as a fan, and I put myself as a fan first before I try to understand everything else that goes behind it. I came to watch you. I'm here to pay to watch you perform, and that's what I want to see is a performance.
Mm-hmm. So now the next fight for Lopez is going to be on Thriller. Here's the early items that we've been hearing right now for it. It's going to be on pay-per-view, of course. Thrillers, that's their model. It's going to be on pay-per-view. Initially, there was thoughts on being on the Logan Paul pay-per-view. He has a pay-per-view coming up. He's fighting an MMA fighter. coming up. And so I don't know what's going to happen now because that fight's going to be in April. Now we're in the first week of March right now. I don't know if Lopez has been training. I don't know. Of course, he stays in shape. I see him on social media, but that's kind of a quick turnaround for 2 months. So the biggest question is, will it be on the possible? Now, this is where all this is going on now. Will it be on the possible Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield 3? Now, it's not discussed. It's not announced. It's nothing official, but it kind of drives that point that if Thrill's going to pay $6 million for a $2 million or $3 million fight, then you have to say that this is just extra cherry to help promote the next Tyson fight.
Yeah, exactly. It's well, in this case, in each fight card's point of view, they can actually helping each other, right? So in a way, the Evander Holyfield Tyson fight, it sells on its own, but will it do more knowing that Lopez is on the card as well? Yes, because I think you're going to get people who know fully well that this is okay. Tyson Holyfield overdue, and if Tyson didn't bite his ear. Right, so
he's in a good place, man.
Right. No, he's in a good place now. But let's put it this way: we were robbed of that because of Tyson's actions in the ring that night. So believe me, I was already like, when you saw the first fight, come on, you knew the second fight was going to be there, and you're already like, man, this could be a good. Third one's coming. Nope.
Yeah.
We win that chance. So nobody talked about it, and a lot of disappointed people in Vegas, I'm assuming, were pissed. Like, come on.
Oh, come on, especially if he was betting.
There was a lot of third fight people. A lot of people wanted the third fight.
I don't think any gamblers had biting the ear for minus 200. You know what I'm saying? Or, a negative 350 odds or something like that if biting the ear past the 6th round. Exactly. I don't think anybody had disqualification for the second half of the fight,
Exactly, right? So right now, we're getting basically a very, very, very late third part of this trilogy. And so you're going to get some people who are going to watch it just for the sake of watching it, right? But really, what I'll end up paying for is I'm paying to watch Lopez in this fight with the mandatory. Now, I think because I'm getting Tyson Holyfield, and it's the right, and if the markup ends up being about $50, okay, it ends up being worth it with those two fights together. Lopez by itself or Holyfield Tyson by itself for $50. Probably overpaying for that one. I think
it's with Thriller. You didn't watch it. It's going to be a loaded entertainment event for the $49.95. I think that's going to be their model. They're not trying to be like, the boxing has, that Try 74. They realized what they did and how much money they made. Once again, I see more musical acts coming on. Like Snoop Dogg is an investor now, so I could see Snoop Dogg performing as well as being involved in there. Like some of his friends and colleagues, like you saw. There was a few other rappers. I think Tyga was on the card. I don't know if we see him again, but like along that line of different rappers, entertainers, hip hop artists. There was I hate I draw a blank when I could see the pictures of the people that was there. But I see a lot of artists, entertainment acts that could be performing. I see a lot of interludes. Once again, Mario Lopez doing his thing. I can see other like special fights on there. One thing about the Tyson pay-per-view from a few months ago, they actually had like real boxers that were on the undercard. Badu Jack. We seen him fight.
Badu Jack.
Yeah, we watched him fight. I actually seen him fight a couple of times. I actually watched him in Vegas for Mayweather undercard. He used to be signed with, best friends with Mayweather, and of course we watched him with the PBC card that we talked about the last episode. So he was on there. He's fight at light heavyweight. So I see Thriller, take a few minor guys who have names, and then from there, put that on, for the undercard, and then Tyson and then Teofimo Lopez would be like the headliner, co-headliner, basically, along with the acts. So if that's going to be their model for $49.95, then some classic Snoop Dogg jokes, and in the middle of it, you got a Tyson exhibition that may go 8 rounds, but we know it's going to be a draw because they're not going to stop each other. Even at 50, going 60 years old, Holyfield got that cranium dome that you can't knock him. If you could knock him out, then you ain't knock him out now because he ain't got no brain cells. I ain't cracking no joke. I'm just saying, Holyfield ain't got no brain cells.
He's got the biggest forehead in the game. It's very hard to get through.
And then on top of that too, he's supposed to be, I hate to say sound malice like this, but remember when he had that rare blood or kidney disease when he retired and they said he could have died and he came back and still fought for like another 10 years?
Yeah.
I ain't saying that he did something to use him, but he's an animal and he may have a little bit of help, but if he didn't die years ago, I ain't worried about him fighting right now. Like we talked about earlier, let these old timer fighters that's been fighting their blood and it's all they know. If they're fighting the guys in their same class, like he fought Tyson twice and he beat Tyson. Mm-hmm. I ain't worried about Holyfield. If you're worried about him, then you pay his medical bills.
Yeah. Well, the fight itself will generate enough revenue that medically they'll be okay afterwards.
Yeah. But I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's watching the first Thriller event and not having any expectations. And then seeing the event they put on, and then now, let's say that if they do add Teofimo Lopez, I don't know if it will be, of course, the co-main event because you're gonna put Tyson there. Everybody's there for Tyson and Holyfield. Even if Holyfield was there, now Tyson, he'll be the headliner, right? I would like that. You're gonna give me a legit Fighter co-head, the co-main event, and then you give me my novelty Tyson, and let me live my 80s and 90s, stint to see how he's doing and stuff like that. I can't complain with that right now. It's for $49.
I think that is a good package. Like I said, I didn't watch the last one, and I still not gonna go with what I said. I still don't regret it, but this one I would probably pay for because this one makes sense to me. I always said, like, if you're gonna do this entertainment with two older fighters that are well past their prime and well past the game, but not even in the game actively anymore, but have no problem getting in the ring, and they're two respected fighters that I grew up watching a lot, or however this model goes on in the future, right? I don't know if you see, like a Miguel Cotto, Oscar De La Hoya, for whatever reason, get in the ring, right? Just speculating something dumb, right? But that's something you would pay for down the road, right? Trinidad and De La Hoya or something, in the ring for like their rematch or something when they're like
not
in their
to
50s.
Cut you off, but in like 10 years and Thriller still in the game, would you pay to see that?
I would, just for the hell of it.
Like De La Hoya, Trinidad,
just for the hell
of it. The rematch that never happened after 99?
Yeah, for the hell of it, I would.
Okay.
For the hell of it, I would. For $50.
I know you had your opinions on this stuff, but long the evenly match, I would pay for it for $49.
I pay for it just because I figure if Triller's going to basically put on this model where they decide to put that fight, right? That will be a co-main event. But if they put on another part of the card right there, that's the cold part of the main event, that it's actually something that I would want to watch, that's something active and live that would make sense for me to follow, I would do it because I can see the music acts being different every single time, right? You're gonna get most likely some guy, Snoop Dogg or somebody from this group probably doing a show right there.
Yeah,
I could see any number of Hispanic acts coming out, music acts actually being performed that night for that type of a fight. I'd watch it. I'd watch it. I mean, you try to get. You get Mark Anthony or something, for example. I mean, or Jennifer Lopez. I mean, you're gonna get people watching. I will watch. I would watch.
Yeah.
So it would be entertaining and stuff. I would say 10 years from now, hey, Triller, if you're listening, that's a good idea. Keep that in mind, guys.
And what I like too, what Thriller's doing, before we move on, is the actual betting lines that they added on their pay-per-view. That is something that's huge. Like, if you want to draw more people to the sport, there's a lot of degenerate gamblers and people who are early in their gambling stage games. Maybe they got a little disposable money and they're watching this like, hey, why not? Let me put a few dollars on here. And they had the betting lines changing every few minutes. They was putting the odds, everything for every fight, every option. This round, what are the odds? I think what Thriller is doing, that is perfect. Like, part of this is novelty, part of this is legit fighting, but what's not novelty? Betting, and people want to get rich quick, and people who think that they know the odds and think that they can beat the gamblers.
Yeah,
that's huge. And then that's what Thrillers added to their pay-per-view when you saw the live coverage. So I thought that was dope too. I mean, me personally, like, I think anything like that, like basketball, football, if you want to draw people to the sport and you really want to have a new audience or the older audience who may have fell off, throw some betting lines on there.
That's like no different than when you go to, like, say the OTB, or if you go to like the casino.
Yeah,
any casino, and in this case,
like, since Vegas is gone, the sports book.
Yep.
If you were in we go to Vegas and watch a fight, you go to the sports book and you would see the million TVs up there, and you go whatever bets you laying, and there you go. So you're bringing the sports book to the crib.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I would imagine if you're not in Vegas, right? And we're out here in the Midwest, up we're in Chicago. So basically, you go like Rivers Casino out in the Chicago suburbs, or you go to like the Horseshoe in Hammond, Indiana, which is like 20 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go in there. Hopefully, they have the fight already paid for, and they're already watching it at the bar right there. Well, it's not that far off. It's a sports bet right there. So grab a drink, watch the fight, and if they're making predictions and stuff and putting some odds out there from round to round, you make a bet per round. Go ahead, have fun.
Right. So I will move. We're gonna come back to this because we got some months before the fight actually comes on for Teofimo. I'm just happy for him because this is funny. This is his mandatory defense, and this is going to be his biggest payday. He's making more money on this fight than he did with the Lomachenko fight.
Yep.
So he got his bag. Wanted to segue really fast because one of the issues that happened with this purse bid is just the more animosity and drama between Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum. For that needed a bell. Because
Bob Arum's hilarious. So I don't all you Soprano fans, Bob Arum kind of reminds you, and you get to about season 3, season 4 of Corrado Soprano. He's starting to sound like him and stuff like that, where he's just basically letting it out, let it come out on Twitter whenever he wants, and then every once in a while when he gets his head back and he's taking his meds and stuff, he'll say something, he'll say something that makes sense in an interview.
So basically what happened is that Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum have been working really hard to get this heavyweight fight together between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua.
Yep.
2 separate promotion companies, COVID, trying to get as much money possible, knowing that there's going to be less money on the table for possibly the biggest heavyweight fight in history. So just putting that out there, knowing that promoters can be cordial, and even if they're cool, they don't really they're in competition with each other. They could be friends, but they will hate each other at the same time, if that makes sense. They're like I said, boxing, every fight is a going out of business sale. Everything must go because they're getting as much money possible because every location is different. Just the logistics, the people behind the scenes, everything must go, going out of business.
Yep.
But here's a fight here that Arum has been public about, that this is only a $2 million fight. And Eddie Hearn, being Eddie Hearn, trying to build business for DAZN, went ahead and bid $3 million for the fight. And of course, he lost out because Thriller got $6 million. But when you do these purse bids, you automatically get a non-refundable $5,000. That just want people to know that you're for real. So for this fight here, I forgot who's the sanctioning body who's that's up right now on this one, but non-refundable. You put that check in and let you know. Not everybody can come in and is like, hell, we can have our own promotional company, BNP Promotions, and then try to put our bid in, but we ain't got 5Gs. We can't get into the room. So Bob Arum spoke of an unwritten rule. Like in a fight like this, when you have 15-1 to 20-1 odds, and you know that we've had issues in the past and we're trying to put together this heavyweight fight and we may want to do business in the future, this is not one that you purse bid to take my fighter to your network for a one-off deal when you're not going to make no money off this fight. It's one thing if you're DAZN 3 years ago when you're new in the game, like the Thrillers right now, but you're set now. I mean, you're still trying to get a market share, but is it really worth pissing me and my company off to do this fight? Like he said, it's the unwritten rule that when you have this much a gap in odds makers on a mandatory, just walk away. Holler at me on a different fight, and then we'll see the business game go there. But on this one here, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think Eddie's idea really was, and if you watch the recent Canelo fight on DAZN, you had a lot of Ryan Garcia. Probably too much more Ryan Garcia than I really asked for.
Yeah, he was on the telecast. They interviewed him a couple of times prior and after the fight as well.
Exactly. It was, and the reason I say that is that, it was already enough Ryan Garcia leading up to this fight that I didn't need to see any more from there. But if you're Eddie Hearn and you got a fighter like Devin Haney in your stable, right, and you need to basically try to find fights for your fighter, the only way sometimes you need to do that is, in this case, he broke an unwritten rule in an attempt to get a fighter to maybe get on the telecast and essentially do one of those Mike Tyson podcasts where he basically has Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis on. In this case, he probably gets them on live, face-to-face, talking crap to each other, and basically try to generate public sentiment for a fight to happen with Lopez and Haney, Lopez or Garcia, whatever the case may be, right? Once you get them on DAZN, those two possibilities would be on the table, and you basically bid $3 million, hoping nobody else would get it.
We knew that Bob Arum's going, because Bob Arum's been public about the $2 million.
Exactly.
So he said, I'll just do another $1 million on there. And then Eddie Hearn's response is like, hey, he didn't say all the expletive things that Arum said. Arum don't care. He'll curse you out, and then he'll call you a mother effer. It doesn't matter, right? And Eddie Hearn's like, hey, Bob Arum's grandfather into the game. He's like 90 years old. I'm not going to argue with him. I just want to let them know that it's a new day. So Eddie Hearn, I'm paraphrasing, but you can find the quotes basically. But basically, Eddie Hearn saying, I don't care about the unwritten rules in boxing. It is what it is, right? If I see a fight and that I got the money and I'm gonna bid on it, I'm gonna bid on it. I don't care about that stuff. I don't. And so basically saying, I don't care about relationships. It's about business, and if I feel that this is gonna help my business, I don't care if it's short term or long term. I'm doing it, even if it costs me 5 G's.
I think it's a combination of it's it's a business move that he made, but also at the same time he's got a fighter in his ear who's like, hey, you got to put me in the ring with somebody, and none of these guys want to fight right now. And I'm talking about Devin Haney. He needs to basically fight somebody that's of name.
Let me add this real point here, and we'll top off with Devin Haney. Let me ask this question. Do you think possibly that knowing the last few months that Lopez has been pissed off about not getting the money he was asking for, now he knew he probably wasn't going to get $5 million, that Aaron was 2, but not even the bump up. Aaron just held firm. I'm not giving extra, right? And then Eddie Hearn, seeing this from afar, do you think maybe Eddie Hearn's like, hey, Teofimo, I know you're in a contract for 3 years, but put this bid in, and in about 3 years, come holler at me.
Probably, I mean...
Boxing's cutthroat. So I'm just throwing it out there like that.
No. Boxing promoters are cutthroat and stuff. Aaron's of the old school promoters / general managers of any of the sport, right? When you sign a contract, honor your contract, aka Scottie Pippen. You sign the contract, don't complain about your money the next week later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a well-known fact. Scottie Pippen did that, I think, twice. He had two contracts signed from Jerry Krause, and he bitched about every one of them afterwards. In this case, no. Once you, in this case, what Aaron is saying is, look, you signed a contract with me, then you saw Devin Haney get overpaid, and now you're feeling a little, you're feeling a certain way or whatever, right? You're seeing certain guys like Ryan Garcia get promotional deals with like Gatorade and stuff. Are you seeing some of these guys get their money well ahead of what they've done in their career as opposed to what you're doing in your career and stuff? So you're feeling a little jaded right now. I get it. At this point, honor your contract. The money's going to come to you. You're a young fighter. You're up and coming. Believe me, you're the main man right now. No one's disagreeing with you. You're the main man in those weight classes. You'll get your money. Don't worry about it.
On that note, let's finish up on since they're all in 135 division here. On the telecast from DAZN, we get a chance to talk about the Canelo show last episode. But like I said, we mentioned there was a lot of Ryan Garcia talk on there. Mm-hmm. He was on there. He talked prior, then he talked post-fight with Canelo. And Eddie Hearn was talking with Ryan Garcia. They were going back and forth because Eddie Hearn, of course, has Devin Haney on DAZN and said, hey, you should fight him. Ryan Garcia's like, no, he ain't fought nobody. I mean, at least I fought Luke Campbell. I mean, he's holding on to Luke Campbell. I mean, it's a top 10 guy in the division. So it's one guy better than Devin Haney, even though, but it's, what I'm trying to say, right?
They all use the same damn excuse.
I know.
The same repetitive bullshit for every single one of these guys.
I know.
And Ryan Garcia, you're young, dude. What the hell are you doing?
So, man? I mean, he at least proved that he'd be the top 10 guy, right?
Yeah.
So then the problem, though, is that he went after Manny Pacquiao, and he's got egg in his face now. So he's said it in articles, and then I said it publicly on DAZN that, hey, it's not me, it's Manny. I got mad love for Manny, mad respect for him. Looked like his team was pulling him in another direction, but Manny told me that we had the fight. So he's holding on to that, saying that, hey, I wouldn't have gone on this route if Manny didn't tell me that we had the fight. But here's the thing, though, this Ryan being young, because we know Manny's done this many times before. Now, whether it was with Bob Arum's assistants, or whether it be Manny and his homeboy Boo Boy, or Rich Michael Kontz, whatever's involved, there's been situations like this for the last 15 years of fights with Manny Pacquiao. Stuff like this has happened. So unless you have a written contract, Ryan, don't go ahead and put a meme on Instagram that you got to fight, because Manny, says he's his boss, and he's never been his really own boss. He will say things, and then either he'll backtrack on it, or people who work with him will backtrack on it.
Ryan Garcia is like a how can I say this? Like that no-name boy senior year chasing a fucking prom date. I mean, he's just horny as hell, just running around. Wanna go to prom? Wanna go to prom? Wanna go to prom? And I'm like, and you've been rejected every single time. So just at this point, like I've said, mentioned about Ryan Garcia. Humble you just fight who you need to fight, and you'll get your main fights. They're gonna happen. Don't worry about anything else other than your own improvement in the boxing ring and stuff, because you got some work to do, buddy. I don't care what you say.
I'll just level set this here. So basically, there was some Q&A before the the fight, and Eddie Hearn and Garcia were talking, and they both came to agreement. Garcia says that even though he doesn't have the Manny fight, that he has someone lined up. But we all know that if it's not Tank Davis or it's not Teofimo Lopez, that it's going to be a letdown.
Well, it was already a letdown anyways, because look, you went on a Tyson podcast with Gervonta Davis on FaceTime, right? So you're already talking your world there. Then the stuff with Manny. You've got nothing. You had nothing signed after the conversation with Gervonta Davis. You had the same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Stop it. Stop publicly chasing fighters for fights. That's what your promoters are there for. So behind the scenes, let them do what they're paid to do, because you doing it yourself makes you look foolish. Mm-hmm. It makes you look desperate. It makes you look like the horny boy looking for that girl on prom. You need to just quit it, right? So, you do you with your trainer. Let your promoters do what they have to do. That's what they're paid to do.
So knowing that, basically Eddie Hearn, they both came to agreement that, okay, whoever you're going to fight next, if you don't get this guy, you should fight Devin Haney. And then it was like, yeah, I should fight Devin Haney. So let's fast forward to past this weekend. Sure. Devin Haney's on Twitter. He's on social talking about how, Canel's his favorite fighter now, showing respect. I like that when other fighters showing love to other guys. But then, there was a lot of back and forth going on. He went to, Teofimo Lopez saying, Lopez said the same thing. You got to fight someone, Devin. And then Lomachenko, fast forward, of course, he got involved. And let me just state this, people, that Lomachenko is not someone on social media all the time, so he should stay away. If I want everybody to go and follow the timelines, do your homework and research so you can see the paraphrasing I'm giving here. But Lomachenko basically said the same thing to Devin Haney. He's like, yo, you need to fight somebody, get in line, stop waiting, and stuff like this, right? So Haney owned Lomachenko at this point. He was like, I was the mandatory to you. But when you became the franchise champion, you wouldn't fight me. So what am I supposed to do? I'm the mandatory, fight me. You don't got a belt now, so fight me now. Mm-hmm. And so there's a little back and forth, but Lomachenko never committed to saying, I'll fight you, nothing like that. So Haney went a little back and forth with Lopez and Lomachenko. And then now you're seeing the major writers picking this up now, that maybe Haney and Lomachenko should happen now. I don't know if they're thinking that Lomachenko's going to get a touch-up fight since he lost, but they both need dance partners, and Haney's doing the best he can. He's got Eddie Hearn talking for him. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see him fight Ryan Garcia, right? At the same time, though, what can you do when you were the mandatory, and the mandatory, got the new WBC franchise champion, and he was able to avoid that? Then Teofimo's the franchise champion, and even Teofimo Lopez, we talked about this, how he was going ham, talking about I got the certificates for 2 belts and you got this belt here. So what is Haney supposed to do? Like, technically, I am the mandatory. What am I supposed to do? So what he's doing here, I'm getting on my Twitter high horse. I'm just going to yell it out, because you know what, though? What can I do?
We talked about this in pre-meeting and stuff about what I feel about what Haney needs to do, right? So right now, Haney's taking like one of 3 options that we've talked about, right? One of the first options. The first option he's taking right now, he's sitting on that mandatory, and he's making the best case he can with the help of Eddie Hearn to get a fight with somebody of name and hopefully the title shot with Lopez, which I don't think is happening right away. But I would say do what you have to do to get into a fight with Lomachenko or Ryan Garcia, right? If that's what they're saying is you need to fight a name. In this case, Lomachenko doesn't need to fight, need a tune-up. He fought Lopez, and to Haney's point, he fought a late fight game plan in the middle of the fight, though. Mm-hmm. Read the Twitter timeline. It was an interesting comment that made me laugh a bit and chuckle. So, but it wasn't wrong what Haney said, though.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, the other option that we talked about in our pre-meeting that Haney, I think, should be doing is kind of what you mentioned about what Triple G did before you got into those.
Oh, yeah, when we talked about that. Let me just add this here. We're going to have to close out shop here. I said, here's my option. You had a couple options.
I had one more option, but let's talk about option.
My option was he can't get Tank Davis right now. He is fighting for Garcia, and Eddie Hearn's backing up, but you see how he's waffling, and he's not getting Lopez right now. So I say you got to go the Triple G route. When you couldn't get Sergio Martinez, you couldn't get Cotto, you couldn't get Canelo a couple of years. You know what happened? You just fought everybody else at 135. He fought everybody at 160. It didn't matter. If you had an interim belt, or if you was ranked number 4, number 5, number 8, who was the highest ranked guy that was available, and just fight. All this, you already been overpaid, so Eddie Hearn might overpay a few extra 100,000 to get somebody in there for you. You're already overpaid, so I hate to count other people's money, but if it's been done, it's already been done. Then just fight guys 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe number 11's available. You got to be active, and then finally they can't avoid you. Then Otherwise, you move to 140, but they can't avoid you if you fight everybody, because then eventually there's no one left. And then what's the champion going to do? Going to fight your leftovers? The champion looks bad, whether it's Lopez or Tank or whatever, or if Tank, of course, if you Tank, you go up to another division. But if you're Lopez, you got all these belts, you eventually can't avoid him.
Yep.
In your thought.
And then the third option, real quick here, was start doing maybe, like to your point, do a couple more fights at 135 to basically just kind of stay active, but start charting your own path. Get to 140. Get to 140 before the other fighters do, and get your belts yourself. Right? Have a couple belts already, hopefully a belt or two in your grasp before a Teofimo decides to move up to 140, before Gervonta Davis ever gets to 140, or Ryan Garcia gets to 140. And by that point, you'll have owned the leverage at that point, and now the control is in your hand to basically dictate the terms of the fight that you want. Because right now, in this crowded 3 divisions that you're in, you don't really have a path to go through. Because right now, you got a couple guys repeating the same mantra over and over. You got Lomachenko, who's not even a title holder, repeating the same mantra. So basically, the playbook publicly to hit you is out there. I would say chart your own path. Maybe do another fight or two at 135 just to get active again, but start charting what that 140 would look like for you, right? See what 140 is, see if your power carries through and stuff. Try to build some strength at 140 and start working up your way through the ranks at 140 and get yourself a title or two. And that way, when they come, they're waiting for you instead of you waiting for them. And I think that's what you should be doing.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to close off shop here. This is going to be a shorter episode. We just wanted to touch on Teofimo Lopez on his fight and the hold up, because it's going to be several months for the next fight here. But it's good that he's getting his bag. I'm happy he's going to have this mandatory out the way. And then once it's out the way, he should have another big fight, hopefully by the end of the year. We'll see with Ryan Garcia who he fights next. So hopefully he fights someone legit. Also for Devin Haney, I hope he gets to fight somebody too. I hope those two work it out. So we'll see. It happens. It's early March right now, so hopefully in the next few weeks we should see some announcements, because Devin Haney hasn't. There needs to be things that needs to be announced soon. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So on that note, we're gonna close up shop here. Man. For our Twitch audience, as we're starting out here, we know we're new here and you probably don't know us, but I'm going to try to get out there. So check us out live. We're going to be streaming every episode live on Twitch. Also for YouTube, click like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. You was watching, you saw that ticker down below. I was making sure you guys saw that there. So you get the episodes here. And also too, we will be streaming live the first of the week on YouTube. So we drop normally 2 episodes a week. We're going to try to do the first one live, and we'll see what happens as time goes on. Also for Spotify, click on follow so that you can get that in the audio version. For our affiliates on Spanglish Sports World, channel 250 on the Zingo app in Canada. And also, if people want to check me out on the other show, Jump Off Live, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time on YouTube, Jump Off Live. We also stream that, just let you know that we do stream on every platform. So even though we're on YouTube, it's also on Twitch, it's also on Facebook, it's also on Instagram, and it's also on Twitter. We're everywhere, baby. So, Jorge, what you got?
Sure. Live_Dominoes on Twitch TV. Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Wednesdays, we take our show on the road. We'll be at PL Lounge in Chicago, 3456 North Pulaski Avenue. So if you haven't been in the Chicago area, do stop on by and see us there at 8 p.m. And then on Thursdays and Saturdays at La Taberna. And that's all I have.
I might have to check out the one of the live joints coming up pretty soon here, since the weather's breaking. I'll bring my mask out,
Yep. We're definitely mask heavy on the shows right there. So we're definitely taking the COVID restrictions seriously there, but they do serve over their food and actually pretty good snacks over there to eat, not besides wings and pizza, but stuff of the Hispanic variety. So if you like your carne frita and tostones, they're right there, and some empanadas.
So on that note, we're going to close out shop here for the Boxing Now Podcast BNP, our second episode this week. We'll be back in a few days for our next episode, but until then, I got Jorge. I'm that dude named Dave, and we're out of here. Take care.
Take care, folks.